In this episode, let's delve into the phenomenon of that high school friend whose Instagram showcases boundless energy, despite juggling kids, a demanding job, and constant activities. You find yourself wondering, how does she do it? I can relate. Often, friends inquire about my seemingly endless energy reserves, prompting me to share my secrets. Central to understanding this vitality is the mitochondria. Mitochondria, these microscopic powerhouses within our cells, play a pivotal role in converting food into energy. With trillions of them in our bodies, their efficient functioning is paramount. When they operate optimally, we wake up energized, ready to tackle the day's tasks. But when they falter, exhaustion sets in, making even routine activities like picking up kids or grocery shopping feel daunting by midday. Let's explore how to keep our mitochondria firing on all cylinders for sustained energy levels throughout the day. The inability to fall asleep despite being in bed often stems from malfunctioning mitochondria. Many of us find ourselves in this situation, where our mitochondria struggle due to dietary choices. Studies on individuals born with mitochondrial defects shed light on the impact of compromised mitochondria. For instance, the spectrum of exercise tolerance in mitochondrial myopathies. A study involving 40 patients placed participants on stationary exercise bikes. They were instructed to exert themselves to their maximum capacity. Results showed that those with mitochondrial defects could only sustain exercise for about half the duration compared to those without such defects. This underscores the critical role of mitochondria in exercise endurance and stress management. When our mitochondria are impaired, both physical exertion and stress become challenging to handle. Stress from various sources, such as job insecurity, relationship strains, or typical work pressures, can also impact mitochondrial function. The goal here is to optimize mitochondrial performance to ensure boundless energy for all your endeavors. Consider a scenario. Your grandfather's lifelong dream was to work on a steam train. After retiring, he finally fulfills this dream despite family skepticism. He becomes the stoker, feeding coal to the fire to power the train's engine. Hour by hour, he diligently tends to the fire, adding coal to sustain the steam needed for smooth locomotion. On the first day of his new job, everything runs smoothly for your grandfather. Coal deliveries come steadily, maintaining the steam needed to power the train. However, on the second day, things take a turn. Despite initially manageable deliveries, more coal keeps arriving at an alarming rate. Unable to burn it all at once, he stacks it nearby, intending to use it later. But the deliveries continue relentlessly, quickly overwhelming him. With piles of unused coal filling the room, he's unable to keep up with stoking the fire. Eventually, the excess coal hampers his ability to fuel the fire, leading to a halt in steam production and the train's movement. Too much of a good thing becomes a hindrance. The analogy of your grandfather and the steam train sheds light on how mitochondria function. Similar to your grandfather's need for a steady supply of coal, mitochondria thrive on a consistent intake of glucose from your daily food. This glucose serves as their fuel, powering your body's functions and activities. However, just like your grandfather's room overflowing with coal, if mitochondria receive an excessive amount of glucose too quickly, they become overwhelmed and inefficient. This leads to fatigue as they struggle to process the excess glucose. Glucose spikes, often caused by high sugar and high carb diets, contribute to this fatigue. If you find yourself experiencing chronic fatigue, struggling to maintain energy levels throughout the day, or longing for a past version of yourself with more vitality, reducing sugar and carb intake can help restore mitochondrial efficiency and energy levels. Consuming sweet foods like toast with jam may initially seem energizing due to the release of dopamine in the brain, which provides pleasure, not actual energy. This quick rush of pleasure can be mistaken for an energy boost. However, at the mitochondrial level, excessive sugar and carb intake actually impairs energy production and capacity. When we indulge in sugary foods and high-carb meals, the efficiency of our mitochondria is compromised. They struggle to function optimally because they're inundated with an excess of glucose delivered too rapidly. So, while the brain may interpret sweet treats as sources of energy, they ultimately hinder mitochondrial performance rather than enhancing it. How can we ensure a steady delivery of glucose to our mitochondria to optimize their function and prevent chronic fatigue? I have a solution for you, especially if you enjoy carbs, but want to minimize their impact on your glucose levels. I've identified 4 key molecules that, when combined in a capsule, can reduce the glucose spike from a meal by up to 40%. These molecules include mulberry leaf, lemon peel extract, cinnamon, and potent antioxidants from green vegetables. Supported by over 25 clinical trials, these plant-based and vegan ingredients offer a natural way to manage glucose levels. I'm excited to introduce my creation, the anti-spike formula. Simply take 2 capsules before a meal to experience its glucose-stabilizing effects. With this innovative solution, you can still enjoy your favorite carbs while supporting your mitochondrial health and energy levels. In the quest for sustained energy levels and optimal mitochondrial health, our dietary choices play a crucial role. Drawing from extensive scientific research, I've distilled 10 core principles designed to allow us to enjoy carbohydrates without causing glucose spikes or compromising mitochondrial function. You can access these principles in the description of this episode, where a downloadable one-pager is available to help you get started. Let's delve into a few of these principles now. The first and most significant hack for maintaining steady energy throughout the day revolves around breakfast. Traditional breakfast items like orange juice, granola, cereal, or honey may provide a fleeting dopamine rush, often mistaken for energy. However, for sustainable energy, it's beneficial to opt for a savory breakfast instead of a sweet one. This choice sets the tone for stable glucose levels and supports lasting energy without overwhelming the mitochondria. One essential step towards maintaining steady energy levels is opting for a breakfast centered around protein and fats, with the option to include starch and natural sweetness from whole fruits. I've curated some savory breakfast recipes available in the episode's description to help kickstart your day on the right note. Another crucial strategy is to be mindful of when you indulge in sweet foods. While enjoying sugar is perfectly fine, it's important to avoid consuming sweet treats on an empty stomach. Instead, reserve them for dessert after a meal. Why? Because after a meal, our digestive system is already active, which helps buffer the impact of sugar consumption. So, whether it's a slice of chocolate cake or a cookie, enjoying it after a meal can minimize its effect on glucose levels and mitigate any potential harm to your mitochondria. Eating a slice of chocolate cake triggers a release of dopamine in the brain, providing a temporary feeling of pleasure. However, because the sugar is consumed after a meal, its absorption into the bloodstream is slowed by the presence of other foods in the digestive system. This gradual release of sugar ensures that mitochondria are not overwhelmed with a sudden influx of glucose. Instead, they receive a more sustained supply as the meal continues to digest. I hope this was informative and gave you some important wisdom. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for videos. Your support means the world to us. Feel free to drop any comments. Until next time, as always, I wish you great health, prosperity, and joy.